Hey there.
Hello.
How are you?
How are you?
We're from the Regular Joe's podcast.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
To movies and toys and TV shows, comics and collecting and superheroes. There's no end to the useless stuff they know. But don't call them geeks, they're just regular Joes.
Welcome to the Regular Joe's podcast. I'm Dave Pisani.
I'm Barry Kay.
And I'm Todd Pleasant.
Lots to cover today, including in our commercial break, we'll talk about a little visit. More on that soon. But we're going to cover some TV shows, some trailers, some different stuff. We got a smorgasbord of things.
Boy, that is the term you just don't hear anymore.
You know, there used to be, I know, every time I hear that word, I don't know why I said it, there used to be this place, like a buffet before there was.
That's what I'm saying, but I think that term has
buffet.
been totally supplanted by buffet.
Yes, like before there was Golden Corral, or I don't even know what buffets are, but it was called the Jolly Troll. I don't know why I remember this, and it's a smorgasbord. I distinctly remember down where I grew up it being there. I'll have to look that up.
Wow.
One of those sort of plaid stallion things.
I think we should work on bringing that word back. You don't hear it often enough.
Yeah, I think that's what this show is. This show is, we should work it into the description, is a smorgasbord of geeky information.
So you're basically challenging Todd to spell that word properly.
No, I was going to say, now I got to write that in the description this week.
You may
Challenge
find
accepted.
something interesting. So, yeah. And I feel that word is something like, is it Swedish?
It's Swedish.
Or
I'm pretty sure
is
it's
it?
Swedish. Yeah.
That's why they call this place the Jolly Troll. I think that's what because trolls come from Sweden. We all know that.
If you
That's
say
why-
so.
Remember they had these great little chicken things.
I thought they came from Mordor, but what do I know?
I remember the chicken things. Anyway, let's go some quick random, and I will stop this car if it's not quick.
I said that it'd be before we started recording. I don't like having rules.
You put
placed upon me.
constraints on us, but you don't want us putting constraints on
The
you.
second week in a row, Barry said he had a hard cutoff on recording time, but won't concede to doing one random. So,
Listen, when I do research, I want to use all of the things I bring to the table.
Okay.
I'm
What do you
prepared
got?
today.
What useless information do you have?
Okay, so today they released a clip from She-Hulk. It's an actual clip,
Right.
a scene.
Yep.
It's her training with the Hulk, with Bruce. The CGI looked much better, like much better. I don't know if either of you saw it, but I was actually very pleased with what I saw because everything I'd seen up to this point I thought looked off. But
That's the tricky thing, and that's interesting because James Gunn did not want his Guardians trailer shown because the effects weren't right. So
And
this is just like a 1 minute clip. It doesn't really give anything away.
And they will,
but-
I guess now they're down to the wire, but I'm saying they'll keep tweaking this. I almost feel like the hair is the biggest problem. That they should have given her a ponytail or something like that, because the hair just doesn't move right in anything. It looked better in this thing, Barry, as you said, than it has in anything else. But the hair just looks plasticky.
But at least this clip made me feel like, okay, I can watch an entire series of this and not be taken out of it every second by how bad the CG is. So
Yeah.
Well, that remains to be seen in
Yeah.
9 days.
yeah.
So there we go. Todd, what do you got?
According to various sources, yesterday was the birth date of George Jetson.
I saw that.
So
I did see that.
So we are officially in the future now. So it's expect about 40 years from now for us to have robot maids, flying cars.
So you're not saying it was the day and month. You're saying the day, month, and year.
The day, month, and
His
year
date.
of his birth
July 31st.
is supposed
Wow.
to be
2022.
yesterday. Yeah. And so, like I said, we're about 40 years away from the future at this point, and we'll
That's
get
about right.
our flying cars, we'll get our robot maids.
I need Rosie.
and-
I've been waiting for Rosie
Yeah.
this whole time.
Yeah. And so, yeah. And
That was put out there sort of in the press or in the whatever social media like 3 days ago. You know, and I'm hoping somebody whose kid was born named their kid George Jetson
I really hope so.
Pisani. Or whatever.
They need to.
That would be great. I want to meet that guy.
Yep. That would be awesome.
Someone, I wonder, we should Google that. Who named their kid George Jetson? Insert last name here.
Yep. So George
That would be awesome.
Jetson, Smith, Harris, you know,
I'm thinking the last name is probably Costanza because it sounds like something George Costanza would do.
yeah, but
Oh, somebody did it. Although, does anyone of childbearing age even have a clue about?
Do they even
George
know who the
Jetson
Jetsons
and
are?
Think it's cool. Some kids retro. Who knows? People of that birthing age are probably a bunch of knuckleheads.
yeah.
Not like even kids, like a 15-year-old kid would be like, "Oh my god, that'd be cool." I feel like 30-year-olds are probably just.
I don't know. We insulted the Scientologists a couple weeks ago. Now you're insulting anybody of childbirthing age, Dave. Let's just
Do you think
alienate
anyone
the whole
who's
audience.
30 is not just a pain in the ass? I bet they all are. All right. I had this a couple weeks ago, and it stopped me if I've done it. We talk about the spin-off of The Boys?
No.
Okay. I'm going to read you the description. It's like I'm paraphrasing a little bit. It's like the description. The Boys spin-off finally has a name. It's called Gen V. And this Boys spin-off Gen V explores the lives of hormonal competitive soups as they put their physical, sexual, and moral boundaries to the test. Are you telling me that's not what we've been seeing? And this is going to be a group who's going to be only doing that? That's frightening.
I know you have not been a fan of this season of The Boys.
No, that's not true. I have two more left, and I have not been. I just haven't gotten in. I've been watching it. I've been really enjoying it.
Okay.
I mean, some
Seemed like
parts
you had a hard
more than
time
others.
getting into this season.
No, I'm not. I mean, hey, you could.
Dave, let's just get it out there. Was it the penis explosion?
Let's just say no. I don't even. I was going to make a joke, and none of it would go. No, I just thought they were trying too hard to be shocking, and the good part of them was wasn't always. Well, I guess they always tried hard to be shocking.
Yeah, I mean, the hero-gasm might have been worse than the penis explosion.
Oh yeah,
And
I mean, but I think by that point you were just like dulled to it, you know.
That was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're not talking about that. But I'm really frightened of what they're going to put in this show. Very frightened. Anyway, Barry, you have three more. Go ahead.
I have two more. This is just a quick update. We talked, I don't know if it was last week or the week before, about the fact that Mark Hamill said that he kept the Stormtrooper helmet and three other things from Star Wars. He's now announced what the other three things were on social media. He's got a pair of C-3PO hands and feet.
I saw that, yeah.
He's got an Imperial cap, and he's got one of the rubber frogs that Jabba the Hutt was eating on the dais. So,
all those things are worth a fortune.
oh, yeah. The C-3PO hands and feet especially. I mean, I think the helmet is still the key item he's got
helmet
there.
is, outside of the archives, is the most valuable Star Trek, artifact.
Star Trek.
He just did
Star
it.
Wars.
I know. I think. Wait a minute. I think this might be.
It might be the first time Dave's ever
No. I
done
think
it.
this is the hat trick. I think we've all done this now. 'Cause
Yeah,
I've done it. I know
I've
you've done it
Barry.
before. Have you done it before, Dave?
I think I must have.
I don't think he has.
I'm going to look at... We're all wearing Star Trek shirts.
We are, yes.
Yeah.
So more on that soon.
Well, and he has said in the past that he also has a lightsaber, which he did not mention at all during this conversation.
He said that.
So anyway, I just thought I'd update on that because we were speculating. Whoa, what are the other things he has? So he has now said.
That's
what the other
interesting. I
things-
wonder why he's doing that. Why would he come out with that?
It is interesting. He posted a picture of his kid wearing the hands and feet.
Yeah. I mean, is it have anything to do with the fact that props are at an all-time high?
It seems unusual that somebody who I feel is fairly private about this kind of stuff is out there publicly saying what it is that he has.
Does he have money, like enough money to be filthy rich?
I think he's probably got a comfortable amount of money, but he's certainly no Robert Downey Jr. or one of those guys.
No,
so.
I don't think so. I don't know that he ever really, unless he got paid crazy money for
not showing up in the.
I think this is provenance. I think this is saying right now that he has these, gets that out there. I think 3 to 5 years, however many years later, he decides he's going to part with them, or his estate parts of them, or whatever. It's established that they exist instead of something. Oh yeah, we have these things.
For what it's worth, I just looked up Mark Hamill's net worth.
I know. I
looked
looked up the same thing.
$18 million.
$18 million. Okay.
Which
now I'm
doesn't
going to look
seem
up
like
Harrison
enough
Ford.
for
So
somebody who's
comparatively, Harrison Ford from the same thing with the same margin of error is worth $300 million.
Yeah, and that makes, and I think that makes perfect sense. I don't think if you have $18 million, any of those things are going to make a huge difference. What do you think the total of that's worth?
No, I agree with you. And, you know, he also has chosen not to, for the last 6 years, make, you know, $500,000 a year on autographs, which he could easily
which is what I'm saying. I'm saying I bet, there's $2 million there? I mean...
Yeah, if those things, not including the lightsaber alone would be worth $1 million. I wouldn't be surprised.
Depending on the condition of it, yeah. Knowing that
Mark
it was his,
Hamill owned lightsaber, so that's that's
maybe
the most valuable thing.
Maybe his plan is he wants to be buried in a pyramid or something, and he's just kind of setting this up so that the...
Or maybe he ends up donating stuff to the Hollywood Museum. He doesn't seem like the kind of guy who's going to sell it for profit.
It is that thing, Barry, or it's also possible based on some of the things I've seen him do that someday these are going to be auctioned for charity, and he wants it out there that they're his.
Yeah, because he could do a couple of conventions a year, and you know, what do I know? I'm saying $500,000 a year in autographs seems reasonable, realistic. Yeah,
they were talking 5 years ago when like Chris Evans and stuff were doing stuff. They could make a couple $100,000 at one
and I
convention.
think that he could probably charge $1,000 an autograph now.
I feel like he wouldn't though.
Yeah, I mean, if Robert Downey Jr. is $900 and Harrison Ford is $1,200, I mean, Hamill's got to be in there.
Well, they're not that much. I mean, they're your basic autograph is what, like 8 and 7 and 8.
Even so, he could charge $500 or $600 a piece.
I don't feel like
I would not be happy about it because there are things I'd love to get him to sign, so I probably wouldn't. And I have enough of his autographs, but still, like the days of him charging $100 at a show are over.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
he's got to go the Carl Weathers route, and if it's like a picture, it's $200, but if it's an object, it's $15,000.
Yeah,
exactly.
Okay, did you have something else? Since
you know what, I've got something else that'll has a shelf life, so I'll save it for a future show.
Todd, did you have anything else?
I was really just going with that one.
Oh, Todd, were you anywhere special on Friday?
Friday. What did I do on Friday?
What did you do on Friday?
Oh, yes. I made the pilgrimage to Connecticut.
Fanboy Collectibles.
And visited Fanboy Collectibles.
Yes. Todd and I met up.
The happiest place on earth, or at least in Connecticut. So,
Todd and I met up and went to Fanboy. I haven't been there in a while. It's been a couple of years since I've been there. But Todd had some stuff to pick up, and I had the second half of the day off, so we met. And while I'm there, let's see, all kinds of stuff.
I took a look at their site today, and it is just non-stop Iron Studios.
Iron Studios statues, like a ton of Marvel and DC Iron Studio statues, a ton of them.
Todd, that Batman, where Batman's on the bat signal, that looks amazing. I think I might actually need that.
There you go. Other stuff. Now, which Spider-Man is that? There's a Spider. This
is Tobey Maguire.
Tobey
Yeah.
Maguire Spider-Man from Hot Toys.
So now all three of them are out there because they already released the Andrew Garfield.
That's just a lot, but you really need all three. There's an Iron Man Mark III diecast, Mighty Thor, Natalie Portman, Mighty Thor, Vader from Obi-Wan with the cracked.
Oh my god, it looks incredible.
I pre-ordered it in person. I'm like, Troy, should I send you an email? And he said, no.
And I didn't even know you guys were there because I forgot you mentioned it, and I pre-ordered it that afternoon. I think right after you guys left. So.
Oh, that's funny.
And I pre-ordered Obi-Wan to go with it.
I pre-ordered. I'm like, I need to have those, and so I pre-ordered them in person. So they got everything. Check it out. We were in the back room. You need a Batmobile, there's Batmobiles. You need a case of Iron Man diecast, there's a case of Iron Man die. They got
just
everything.
announced, and this is tempting to me. RoboCop diecast Hot Toys
That
figure.
does look cool. I gotta
Doesn't it
say,
look cool?
it's you got a whole like '80s thing going too, Barry, in your collection.
I know. That's why I think it totally
it
fits
just-
in
it
with my
fits
Marty
in.
McFly and
Yep.
my Terminator.
Yep.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, lots of good stuff at Fanboy.
Lots of good stuff. And this weekend, if you're near Chicago, Whitey, talking to you, I know you're near there, Chicago, they'll be at C2E2 in Chicago this weekend. So check them out online. Check them out at their store in Newtown, Connecticut, like we did. Check them out at C2E2 and tell them the regular Joe's sent you.
There's a loading dock. You can back your truck right up.
And somebody did that.
Todd did.
I did that.
And someday you'll tell us about the giant thing you brought home.
That's right. We'll get there.
Yeah. Okay, I'm changing gears because a icon, and we don't tell the word out, icon passed away. Nichelle Nichols, we heard yesterday it was,
Yeah,
right?
she passed away yesterday at the age of 89. They say
89,
that she passed
good-
away
good
in her
number.
sleep or, at least
Peacefully.
peacefully. Yeah.
Yeah. But, you talk about somebody, you looked at a ton of social media. Everyone used the word trailblazer. I mean, yeah, one of the first strong female black characters on television. And it's interesting, and you forget some of this stuff. She even worked for NASA for a long time to help encourage young girls, certainly young black girls, to get into the
You talk about somebody who's
sciences.
literally inspired millions of people over decades. Like,
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who do a lot of good and that are known for, there are a lot of people who are also sort of known for one character. Like, I'm sure she did other things, but she's known for Uhura.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
my
And this
gosh,
was
she
not
was
her.
an
I mean,
icon.
she had a career as a dancer and an actress, and she expected to be a Broadway actress for her career. And this was something that came up, and it just kind of redefined her career. And
I do think, from what I read, that Martin Luther King encouraged her to take this role.
No, to stay with it because she felt it was kind of a trivial thing, and when she spoke to him, she thought she could be doing something that was more substantial, and he said, "No, you're being viewed by all these people, and this is
Yeah, okay.
this
That
is
was what it
and
was.
so I think that's just fantastic. I mean, she's told that story many times, and I also think again we're talking about. It's a very different era. This was the 1960s. One of the objections to the initial pilot was that a woman was second in command. I mean, there was still this network mindset where the women had to be in these very, kind of background roles, very, not strongly represented, and she transcended that with that character. It was she was poised and strong and very, very significant to the series. So
Well, and it was, for the time, very unusual for an African American woman to be in a lead position. I mean, she was in charge of for lack of a better term, she was the head of a department.
yeah, yep.
And that wasn't, that was not common at all back then.
And again, it inspired a lot of people, a lot of women, and there's just a lot of stories about that, and it's terrific. And again, it's this was a very, very early pass at inclusion, and you can knock Roddenberry for a lot of different things, but he did try this, and he did he did push and persevere in a lot of ways with it. So and this was like I said, this was a groundbreaking landmark role that she expected to be. She just did not expect this to last, and she never imagined it would have the permanence, and that this would be the thing in her entire career that she was remembered for. So,
yeah, and she did always often mention how people come up there. I'm a scientist because of you.
Yep.
I'm a strong women.
Yep.
I went into the military. I went into sciences. I worked for NASA. I was an astronaut. I mean, we've seen some astronauts credit her. So yeah.
I mean, Whoopi Goldberg even said she desperately wanted to be on Star Trek because she was so inspired by her as a child.
Yeah.
And Dave, I know you and I both met her on a number of occasions at conventions, and she was always lovely.
Most recently,
super nice.
Was it like?
I think it was the last Rhode Island Comic Con, wasn't it?
Was it last year?
Yeah,
it was either last year or
it was like
the one before that. I know I met her in 2009, and I met her in 2014, and I have a few of her autographs on a few things.
I got her autograph very recently. I feel it could have even been last year.
I feel like it was last year.
Could have been. It's all a blur.
Yeah. No, I'm pretty sure it was the last Rhode Island Comic Con.
And as you heard at the beginning of the show, we met her. I don't know when that was, but
okay, I thought that's what you were talking about. That drive by. That drive by.
No, I was talking about when Dave got her autograph.
November. That drive by was about 3 years ago. So 3 or 4 years.
No, that was even more than that. That was more like 7 or 8 years ago.
Really?
But yeah, she we were recording in the lobby at the Omni Providence, and she came through, and she didn't sit down and have an interview with us, but she certainly did say hello. So,
she kind of was looking at us, and we were saying some stuff. Yeah,
I think she had people that kind of steered her away too.
Yeah, well, like most people steer us away from us.
Yeah,
but
I don't blame her for that. But just hard to really even put into words like, I mean, we all love the original Star Trek, and that original crew is very near and dear to us. But there's no other word for it. She was an icon. She just
and it's funny, even if you look at sort of the billing and the whatever, she was definitely in a support role, but she was there every episode. I mean, I think when I think Star Trek, Kirk, Spock, McCoy for sure. To me, her
and Scotty are next.
Scotty next, then her, then like Sulu and Chekhov, because she's definitely always there, and she had some. I wish she had some better moments, but I remember Mirror. She had some really good. I mean, there's a lot of episodes, but Mirror sticks out.
What's really sad now is to think that only 3 of that original crew are still with us.
Scotty's gone.
Yeah, McCoy's gone. No, it's Kirk, Sulu, and Chekhov.
It's the gold church.
Yeah, oh boy,
it's just the gold church.
Yeah.
So, yeah. No, it is, and again
amazing career,
super impactful, and again it's one of these, and gorgeous lady who will be forever young in reruns. I mean, it's just you look at that. Like I said, that series is incredible, and even going back today, I watched what they did and accomplished, and it's great that she committed to it and stayed with it. I mentioned to you guys yesterday that there is an animated series episode that is actually Uhura's chance to be in charge. And if you get a chance, and any of you listening get a chance to look at it, it was the Lorelei signal, and
4th episode of the first season.
4th episode of the and
I would have loved to seen that live action.
Yeah,
because I think you certainly would have expanded on her being in charge of the Enterprise, and I thought that would have been.
And
cool.
they just couldn't. I mean, so she never got to sit in the captain's chair, but in this episode, we got to see her use a phaser, and we got to see her take charge. And
totally take charge.
And
did she ever in the live action never be given the con, as they say?
Nope. And it was actually, they tried it a couple times and they got bumped out of scripts. So yeah.
Damn lawyers of the 60s.
I know we all went back and rewatched that episode in prep for tonight's show, and it's I agree with you. I would have loved to have seen it in live action, because you forget sometimes how those scripts were not dumbed down for cartoon.
No.
Like, they were real Star Trek scripts.
This is a little.
You're
doing something wrong. okay, we'll explain. Now we're not doing anything wrong. You can only do so much in 24 minutes.
But that's not all that different from some actual Star Trek.
It's not. I gotta say, it's not.
I gotta say, the drawing, the animation on this is pretty weak in all the animated series, but these guys really knew how to draw beautiful women. There's this planet of women who kind of takes control. They're all beautiful, and then all the females from the Enterprise beam down, and they took extra time to make them all look
It was
good.
like they were actually a crew of fashion models beaming down, not
all female security team. You know that and let me tell you, I observed this to Barry earlier. In animation, you can make the skirts even shorter. And
it was pretty crazy.
But it was kind of cool to see this all-female security team just beam down and kick ass.
The other thing that I found interesting, and I know we're kind of diverting at this point, but there were two scenes when they were on the planet. One where Majel Barrett is doing the voice of the evil female leader,
right, yep.
while Nurse Chapel is standing next to her. And then, like, another scene later, Nichelle Nichols is doing the voice of another of the evil female women, while Uhura is literally in frame on screen.
And another interesting thing is Nichelle Nichols is the voice of the science computer, which they never did.
Is she really?
They never did. Not before. It was just for whatever reason, they just...
It's one...
Because Majel Barrett used to do all
she
those
did. She
voices.
does.
Yeah,
And,
but when you're on a series like this, an animated series, you have a handful of people and you use them for everything.
oh yeah, no, and that's just it. I mean, I'll tell you, fully a third of the voices in that entire series are James Doohan.
Yeah.
There's episodes where he does 7 or 8 characters.
We'll watch the whole thing and do an episode in a bit.
We should, because it doesn't get enough love.
It really doesn't, and I guess it hit me at I was 10 when that came out, and it hit me at just the right time, and I wanted more Star Trek, and I go back, and it's not like rewatching the animated Planet of the Apes, Dave.
Oof.
I know the animation is terrible. I know that, and there's mistakes. Boy, you really want to be a fact checker? Watch the badges. They change sides. They get bigger. They get smaller. Sometimes the wrong symbols on there, but the stories are terrific. And
because they use real science fiction writers to write them.
They use real series writers, and in a lot of cases, they went back and they said, DC Fontana did this at least, went back and said, what scripts do we have that were impractical that we couldn't film? And then they stripped those down and made animation episodes out of them. So you just couldn't make a 100-foot tall Spock, given a weekly series budget, but you could do it in animation. So
go back and watch Lorelei Signal. Go back and rewatch everything that Nichelle Nichols did and celebrate the life that she had.
Absolutely.
Yes, exactly. Well put. Okay, next thing. So the trailer for Andor came out today. Barry, you alerted us to this.
I saw that it came out, and I have since watched it 3 times. I watched it once on my computer, and then I ran upstairs and watched it on my 75-inch TV because it's that epic. For me, anyway.
It's epic.
I love
That's a perfect word. That's the word I said for it. It looks epic. Like, wow.
I've been, excited but dubious about this series because when they said it was 12 episodes and when they said it was going to be, 5 seasons, and then they said it's only 2 seasons, like all the things we've heard, and we've seen teasers, but this trailer blew my freaking mind. I was not expecting this to go where it seems to be going.
Because when it was Andor, we're like, okay, that's a character we liked in a very good movie, and it could be interesting. But I think they've said, like, okay, he's going to be the vehicle for us to show the birth of the rebellion.
I
which
agree
is
entirely.
So much bigger in scope than, it's going to follow Andor, who's sort of a thug hood who jumps into a cause kind of thing.
Yep.
Thug's not the right word.
Yeah, no, he's
a con
thief.
man,
He's
they
a thief.
said.
And this is, I like the idea that, like, the Empire is easy to, like, steal from, and that this is what draws him in, is that, he's working the margins. And
his quote, which I wrote down, was, the Empire is proud of themselves, they're fat and satisfied.
Yeah.
And that's exactly, you can just see that. Like, by this point, they have completely taken over. This is just before they shut the Senate down. They're like, You know,
And it definitely we're going to see the scope from prequel era to original trilogy era. You know, in terms of the Senate, the stormtroopers, all that stuff.
There were in this trailer. There were live action clone troopers, which we've never. I mean, every clone trooper we've ever seen has been CGI up till this point. Like,
how do you know they were live action?
Well, I mean, they certainly looked it. Let's put it that way.
But we've in the same thing we've seen. First of all, this obviously is a compilation of from I'm assuming the whole at least first season. Because you see him as a kid, you see him with a beard, you see him without a beard, so it covers time.
Yeah.
And then we see clone troopers, we see stormtroopers, so we're all over the place.
And there's some interesting stuff that I picked out after the second and third viewing. There's mud troopers like the way Solo is dressed in Solo. So there's that costume or uniform, I should call it. All of those things sort of mark periods in time. They had the Imperial gunships like in Clone Wars in one scene, and they had a Tidarium shuttle landing next to the same kind of transport that they used in Solo. So they're basically showing how there's some new advanced stuff, but there's also, they're still using the older stuff. There's an X-Wing in one of the shots that is definitely in a New Hope style X-Wing, but it's actually painted the way the ones looked before that. So it's interesting how they're mixing the time periods.
So we saw three current characters. Is that right?
We saw Andor. We saw Saw Gerrera. We saw Mon Mothma. Those are the three.
Definitely. I felt like even in that little clip, you got a more of a taste of her than
I would actually be totally fine if they didn't go beyond that. I think that my fear with this is they're going to try to shoehorn somebody else in, and they're going to try to I would, like I said, I love this story to be the story. I could see
them maybe bringing in some of the maybe what's his name, the main character from Rogue One, her father. He could potentially show up here somewhere.
Again, there's
but not main characters.
Right.
Wait, who was her father?
He was the guy that designed the Death Star.
No, that's
Galen
Mads Mikkelsen.
Yeah, Mads Mikkelsen. Yeah.
And now the dude from Thor is in it.
Right.
Stellan Skarsgård.
I thought that was the father.
Oh no.
No.
Yeah, no. I think that's where I said I hope they let this be its own thing, in the same way that Rogue One was. Okay. I mean, if we don't see a lightsaber in this whole thing, I'd be perfectly.
I don't think we will.
That's what I'm saying.
I really don't think we will.
Perfectly happy with that.
Yeah. Well, so this is 5 years before the Battle of Yavin.
This is supposedly 5 years before Rogue One, so that would put it 5 years before Battle of Yavin.
And Obi-Wan was 10 years.
Yes.
Yeah, 10 years before.
Yep.
All the Rebels characters are floating around out there.
It'd be stupid to show Obi-Wan in this. I don't think they will.
Yeah, I don't think they will. But even the
Vader, I mean, you think we'll see Vader?
I mean, you could.
How do you not?
You could see the Emperor, you could see Vader.
I think
you could see Tarkin.
Yeah, I hope not. Like I said, I would love to.
I would rather see Tarkin.
I'd rather see this world built and expanded on, and just look at it from the underbelly, and and not be, just be setting the stage for another, to squeeze another character in there. I
would be okay if some of those characters were referenced but not even shown.
That's what I'm saying. Or even just like somebody talking about having seen Darth Vader or something like that. Whatever. It
would be interesting for them to answer the questions that we were asking ourselves, even in Obi-Wan. Like, where does Vader sit in comparison to the Emperor, Grand Moff Tarkin? I wonder if they could get into, not necessarily shown, but maybe get into some of the hierarchy and what's what with that, because it wasn't clear in Star Wars.
Yeah.
No, you're right. And actually, I had one other quote that I wrote down because I thought it was perfect with Mon Mothma. She said, if everyone thinks I'm an irritation, there's a good chance that they'll miss what I'm really doing. And the way
cool.
she said that was so cool.
That built out her character just with that sentence.
If you look at the IMDb for this episode, 80%, 90% of the characters list as being in one episode. So I don't think that can be right.
I don't think that's right. I think it's too early.
I think what they're doing is
that.
just they're not giving away how significant some of these people fit in there. Like the woman from the ranking officer, the woman from the Empire, the Scottish actress. I can't remember what her name is, but they show her like 4 times in the trailer, but she shows up as
the blonde. The blonde,
the blonde.
She shows up as like I've seen her in a bunch of things.
Did you catch Fiona Shaw in there?
Yeah,
there was a quick shot of Fiona Shaw.
Fiona
in
Shaw
there.
also listed as one episode.
Yeah,
you know
who's that?
She's the woman from Killing Eve. She's the older CIA or not CIA, MI6.
MI6 person.
I was wondering if maybe she's Cassian's mother. She's the right age to potentially be his mother. Because when we see, when we see him as a child, she'd be too old in those scenes to be his mother. But grandmother maybe.
Yeah. So
I don't know. I thought it looked great. I was not. I don't know why, but I wasn't expecting Saw Gerrera and his crew. So
I
that
didn't
was kind
think
of cool.
we'd see him either.
I expected to see him, but he was like him and Mon Mothma were the two I expected to see. Potentially the other two from
Baze Malgus and Chirrut Imwe.
Yes, yep.
But they weren't really part of his group until they met on that. They kind of all came together in that sequence.
Yeah,
so.
that was definitely.
So I have one question. Is the only thing that like really took me out of it. But what is with the dude in the the second shot carrying a totally unaltered AK-47? There's nothing.
Is that I thought that looked more like the guns that they used on Hoth, sort of like is that really an unaltered AK-47?
That is an unaltered AK-47 with a short clip in it. It's like what? Right down to the
maybe
strap.
they took the Star Wars ethos too literally, where they just reused.
That's
all the
what I'm
World
saying.
War
But it's
II
like
guns.
they didn't even graph shit to that one. It was just weird. But like I said, to do this shot of this guy running forward carrying this thing, and it was
I wonder
like,
if we'll see it CG altered in the show that
I
they've
wonder.
added
It's just
Greeblies
like
to it.
it's like you can see the bolt, you can see the sights, you can see everything on that gun, and the flash hider, and it's like it's just weird. It's just really, really unusual for them to do that.
So we thought this was coming August 31st. They have, as of today, now pushed it back to September 21st. But we'll get 3 episodes all at once. So waiting a little bit longer.
I don't know. I'd be fine with 2. I don't know that I need 3, but
they might.
Todd always says 3 is the new
3
pilot.
is the new pilot, and I think they think you need 3. I think there's a reason that they're giving you. Kenobi, we got 2, and if we had only seen the first episode of Kenobi, we would have said nothing really happened. So I think there's a reason there's 3. I think there's an arc in those 3 episodes, and
it's interesting that they pushed it back. I wonder if that was because they're like, let's end Ms. Marvel or She-Hulk and be done with it.
There's not a lot of new content dropping on Disney in the fall. So
but if you were trying to stretch out your schedule, you wouldn't give us 3 episodes because they're not really extending it out later in the year. They're just giving you 3 all in one shot.
But again,
they're still
they're not going to be their
true,
streaming numbers are not going to compete with themselves.
Yeah, I mean, I will say that with Ms. Marvel dropping at the same time as Obi-Wan episodes, I did not go back and watch Ms. Marvel until after Obi-Wan was complete.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so
and you know what, Barry? I think that is, you just nailed it. I think that is exactly the lesson that they learned. They're splitting their audience. And people weren't going back the way they expected that they were going to do. They were focusing on that one thing.
You kind of checkerboard them.
Yep. Which is, I think, is smart.
Makes sense.
I think it's really smart.
Yeah. Anyway, looks good. If you haven't seen the trailer, check it out.
Yeah, I was super excited with this trailer.
Yeah. Okay, moving right along. How are we doing? We're doing okay. All right, Ms. Marvel. We kind of touched on it. We're going to touch on it a little. We're not going to go into super depth. We've all finished it, correct?
Yes.
There's spoilers if you haven't seen it, blah, blah, blah.
And I know, I will say up front, I was not super excited after watching the first episode, and it took me a few weeks to go back and pick it up again. And for me, it got a lot better. Not to say that I thought the first episode was bad. It just didn't really captivate me, but I definitely, when I got back into it, I was very happy that I went back and watched
I liked it. I mean, the first episode made me, watch more. I was, I'm like, I'll test it out. But, I've been on a tear of watching things to try to find new shows. I mean, all over the place, different stuff. And I've watched a lot of first episodes the past couple of weeks. But it's different. But to me, it definitely had that Spider-Man Homecoming vibe of this sort of young kid, fish out of water a little bit, force new things, having to explore a whole deal, has their little crew. I enjoyed it. There's a whole other culture that you don't really know anything about, or at least I didn't. That was interesting without it being like, we're oppressed or we're, whatever. It's
Right.
like, here it is.
I think they did a good job with that. I also don't think we are the target audience for this, but I still think it was interesting. And I think it
definitely was younger kids.
It's definitely younger kids, and it should be, because at some point we're all going to age out of the Marvel universe. They need younger characters. They need younger heroes. I think this is great. I also love the element of, like Spider-Man somewhat had hero worship of Iron Man, but it wasn't like his reason for being. Okay. This is somebody who, like, you look at a room, it is wallpapered in
I think
Captain
he
Marvel.
admired Tony Stark from a scientific and from whatever. This girl was a fangirl.
This was a fangirl. This girl was obsessed.
But I like this universe where all the superheroes are real. They all exist, and they've been around long enough where people are like worship them. They would have worshipped, Michael Jordan or somebody.
It's the boys' universe, but it's in a good way. But it's, again, these are very public heroes. I will say.
And I will say. Go ahead, Todd, and I'll say after.
Will we never mention the blip again? I found it interesting. There was just no. Right? They never mentioned that. This should have like altered everybody's lives. There should be some. You know what I'm saying? There should be some lasting effects for this.
Well, how many years out from it are we?
Not far enough that.
But this was modern, right? Like this was current.
This is
time, which
right
is like
now.
a couple
So let's
years
say it's
ahead
right now.
of
So
us.
when was Endgame? I don't know, 2019?
If this is in the present day, remember, the blip put us 4 years ahead of the actual timeline we were living in. Okay? So she's probably only now caught up with the time when everybody came. That's why I'm saying they kind of F things up when they did that.
I don't think you needed to dig into it.
I think you kind of have to stop talking about it at some point because it's just it can complicate everything.
But you also have to. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But do you ignore it?
I think you kind of do. I think they've addressed it enough.
Nobody in their family is 5 years younger than they're supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? There's this is going to have huge social ramifications. It's not mentioned at all. That's what I'm just saying.
Is it far enough? Let's see.
I think, but also again, they did a 5-year time jump, which kind of puts everything like right now is.
I gotta believe. Here's my theory. Everyone blipped and came back because Thanos knew to take Jersey City out. I'm sure. No, I'm joking. I used to live in Hoboken, right up the road. It's all good.
Anyway, that was just a one thing, and I'm just wondering
I think
whether
it's a valid point. But I also
wonder if
feel
we
like
hit a turning point where they're just not going to reference that again.
That's what I was going to say.
See in
I think you have to.
In She-Hulk too.
Yeah,
I mean, it might maybe it gets referenced more in Ant-Man because because his daughter is going to be in it, and that was
it was referenced in
Thor.
No, but it was referenced.
Did they mention it in
Hawkeye?
Doctor Strange?
It wasn't mentioned in Doctor Strange. It wasn't. It was mentioned in Hawkeye, and I think that's the last place. It'd be interesting to just see.
I'm fine with that. I could live with that.
Yeah.
It didn't even cross my mind.
Yeah, what I was going to say before is, this, the main actress, Iman Vellani, I think is how you pronounce her name, never acted professionally before.
She's terrific.
She's unbelievable. She was amazing.
Never having acted before, it was super impressive.
She did a great job. To me, she carried it, and for
sure,
for somebody who doesn't have years of experience as a professional actress to be able to pull that off, I'm sure their search to find the right actress for this must have been really extensive, but they
But
nailed
when
it.
you really get down to it, you needed to find a Pakistani older teenager who can act and carry a series. I mean,
Yeah.
you're fishing in a fairly
But she
small
also
pool.
had a very real person feel to her. And
Yes.
she I spent 23 years around teenage girls. This felt like an actual teenage girl. Okay, it's and I didn't find her implausible at all. It wasn't like watching Stargirl or something like this, where it's just like, yeah, okay, this is a kid in her 20s who's trying to pretend to be, 16. It was. I thought they did a great job with casting all the way around. I thought they did a really good job.
Yeah, the entire cast was good.
Like the genius kid
Yep.
is like the brother of the girls who were on Walking Dead, and now the one was in Bosch. Madison Lintz
Yep.
is the oldest. That's their brother.
Oh,
Oh, I didn't even realize that.
Yeah. He looks just like her. I mean, I guess there's a younger one. I think that's I can't remember. One of the one, like, Look at the Flowers girl
Right.
is one of those Lintz, or both of those girls are the Lintz twins. Not twins, they're twins.
Yep.
One's older, one's younger.
And I stopped short of saying this last week because I wasn't sure if you guys had seen it yet, but when that kid tells her at the end of the last episode that there's a mutation, they play the X-Men theme right after he says the word mutant. I don't know if you guys
I don't know
caught
where
that.
they went with that. I had read that, and I was expecting like an X-Men to show up, but I didn't.
But it's
know.
not even like it's a subtle nod to the X-Men theme. It is the X-Men
This is
theme.
the first actual reference in this universe to that. Okay, to the possibility of that being a thing. We saw Professor X in an alternate universe, but they skipped around that. They didn't go there with Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, who were mutants and have been mutants since forever.
But they didn't also own the X-Men when that movie was made.
No. But what I'm saying, that's what I'm saying. But I'm saying this is the first time, and it will be really interesting to see where they go.
It'll be interesting to see if they tie her in some way to the X-Men when they finally bring them in.
And again, she doesn't have to join them. It's just going to be the explanation. And that's the other thing too is I really hope they go back to the core idea of the X-Men, where they were basically heroes in hiding, where they've been around for a while. We just haven't seen them because the world's not ready for mutants. And I think that would be great. It would explain a lot of why, like I said, they just haven't been on the scene. And again, we find tie-ins like this, but
She's going to be in the next Captain Marvel movie, the Marvels or Marvels.
Yes.
We know that.
Yep.
So why would they also make her a mutant too, which is weird, unless that ties into the X-Men.
only thing up until the last seconds of this show that tied her to Captain Marvel was her love of Captain Marvel.
Fandom, yeah.
So
Well, we knew she was going to be in that movie.
well, we knew she was, but there was no other connection. So now,
Yeah, so now we're talking about the post-credit scene, which I didn't even know was
Spoilers.
there until somebody said, "Hey, did you see the post-credit scene?" And I'm like, "No," because not only did it was after they said the final sort of Ms. Marvel, but then there was a couple seconds of black screen. Usually it rolls right into it, but anyway, yeah, there's a scene at the very end where Carol Danvers shows up.
So she sort of gets sucked away, and and I read a little about it. She did not transform into Carol Danvers. They switched places.
right.
Is
So,
sort of how they're
in
saying
the '70s through the '80s, late '60s through the early '80s, Rick Jones, okay, the hipster annoying kid that hung out with Bruce Banner for most of the '60s, had the nega bands on his permanently attached to his wrists, and when he banged them together, he would change places with Captain Marvel, okay, who basically was stuck in the negative zone when he was not in Rick Jones's place. So that was basically, they were basically each other's alter ego. But when something happened and Marvel needed to take over, he would do this, and all of a sudden it was the equivalent of saying Shazam.
And I thought that that gauntlet that she's wearing, or whatever, that wrist cuff, was from this alternate universe.
And I expected
that her
the whole
ancestors
time
are
for
from.
her to find a second bracelet, bang the two of them together, and somebody else would appear.
I thought her growing when she went over to see her grandmother, that the grandmother, because the grandmother said she saw the train, which I thought meant she had one of the bracelets too.
And I thought, like I said, I expected there to be two bracelets, and when there were two bracelets, someone was going to. And I think, and she actually taps the bracelet, and that's when they change places. So, don't know how they're going to explain that, but that's clearly what happened. You know what they were alluding to, and yeah, yep. So,
and I'll just say this: I think Brie Larson may be working out too much because she looked incredibly thin in that.
She was really seriously thin there.
Yeah,
yeah, she definitely. I've seen her in sort of like Instagram pictures, and she looks very thin.
Yeah.
I like that grandmother though. I thought she was hot. In the past.
Seriously,
the past
yes,
grandmother.
Yeah,
that girl was really cute.
I've seen her.
Now you know what's interesting. So definitely, grandmother in past very hot. The whole scene with them, with the train and all, that's all CG, and that looked fantastic.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there's no way any of that was real. I mean, they just on that budget. But when you think about like how much. You know, something you don't even think about, but that looked very real.
It's interesting. I think it was a little over a year ago. They addressed the India-Pakistan separation in a Doctor Who episode, but this is something that just historically is not talked about a lot, and it was a tremendous cultural upheaval. And it's like, and they said in there, every family has a separation story, and this is just a huge cultural touchstone event for, you know, it's for these cultures, and a dividing line between these cultures, which were, you know, just at odds with each other religiously, but they became two completely separate countries, you know, by a stroke of the pen of the Brits. And this is
I like that these types of genre shows are trying to, you know, shed light on some of these.
And that's what I was getting to. Is Barry, I'm saying in the same
Watchmen
way that
did the same thing.
We saw a couple different treatments of the massacre at Black Wall Street in the last few years. It's kind of forcing these things in, you know, and we're seeing these and just I hope people are reading a little bit more and they're seeing more, but also it helps people understand other cultures when you see the things that they've experienced. And
like I said before, it never beat you over the head. Not that it has to, but I didn't feel like, and when I'm saying that, it wasn't like this is what this is and that's what that is, and here's a mosque, and maybe you've never seen a mosque. They didn't have to mansplain everything.
No, they didn't. They didn't
just
at all.
Is what it is.
Yeah, and I also I liked the treatment of the mosque very much. They had traditional rules. They were rigid in some ways, but also they were very protective of the community, and also kind of tired of being harassed. And you can just imagine what the last, you know, the last decades have brought for, you know, that culture, and you know, it's just. But here's just one more thing where the police were coming in the door and wanting to look around because, you know, now it's not terrorists, now it's potentially superpowered beings, and I liked how they stuck together. I liked, you know, the little kind of insurgent effort by her friend to get onto the mosque council. I thought that was an interesting thing, and just showed a little progressiveness as well. Again, I think the series is very good. Yeah. You know, it was not, again, this was not written for me or you, but I think I have a better understanding of this character, and I find it an interesting character.
Well, and the best shows like this are ones that maybe have a target audience in mind, but they can also appeal to a much broader audience at the same time, and I think this did that.
You know, one of the things that they did that I think they did really well, like even when she was like running from those little like stepstones that she created, she looked like herself running on those things. She didn't all of a sudden become CGI and become super powered and stuff like this. There was still a little awkwardness. There was still a little, am I going to make this? Yeah. And they just did like I said, they did a really good job. and yeah. So I'm really interested to see what they do with the Marvels.
I've been happier with the last few series than I was with the first few.
I think they're finding their way.
Yeah, I still liked Wanda quite a bit, but and Hawkeye, but not so much some of the others. So this was good.
And again, like I said, they're also branching out and they're doing things that, they're trying different things. And believe me, next month they will be doing something even riskier.
It sounds like it's going to be, it's like way more leaning into comedy. We'll see, which is different.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, check it out if you haven't checked it out. Well, it was streaming, so it's hard to say, but Stranger Things had its first half season, came back with its extra long 2 episodes. We haven't had a chance to really talk about it, but I thought it was good. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, not much more to say than that. It was really enjoyable, maybe the best season ever, and it introduces us to a great new character who, is getting a lot of attention now.
Yeah.
Post show. I mean, Joe.
Did you see him with Metallica?
I did. Did you see the pictures from Lollapalooza where he jammed with them and they signed his guitar?
I didn't see that. I just saw him.
They brought him
hanging out
backstage and they jammed with him and they signed his guitar to the 5th member of Metallica and whatever. It was cool.
Nice.
He's got some cool pictures with them.
He was a great character. I think they did some really interesting stuff. I do not think this is anywhere near as good as the first season. But I do think it was good. I think it's probably the best season since the first season.
I think the L stuff dragged out a little too long.
There was a lot going on in this thing.
There was a little too
bunch of plots.
Cut to the chase.
I think Max got some of the best stuff in here.
Max was great. Max is great.
She was terrific. I thought that did you have any predictions in this? I mean, I thought like Nancy was going to die big time. I really did. I figured
Nancy?
this whole... Oh, yeah.
She's never even in danger.
No, but I'm saying it's like the whole love triangle thing and stuff like
that. I thought Max was going to die, and she more or less did.
Kind of did,
Max dying so hard that I thought they were going to like change direction and go a different way.
I feel like... Who's your favorite character? Put Eddie aside. I mean, I don't even know if Eddie's my favorite character. Who do you like the most of that whole crew?
Honest to God, the entire thing? Steve.
Me too. I was going to say, I like Steve, and I don't think Steve got his due in this season.
Also, though, Steve is the best character turnaround in TV. Okay? It's that to go from being the douchebag that he was, as they introduced him, to being this person now, and for even the fact that they even recognize that, like, Nancy's looking at him saying, who the hell is this guy?
I wanted Steve to have a little more something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I agree.
Yeah, they kind of gave it to Eddie this season, knowing that they were going to kill him.
Did Steve have... I don't remember. I know he worked at that ice cream place. Did he...
Well, he worked in a video store before that, right?
No, last season he worked in the ice cream place with...
Scoops Ahoy.
Was Robin.
Right.
He and Robin.
Right.
But was he the hero of... He's been sort of the hero.
He's been the hero, yeah.
And I feel like here's this guy. He's working at a freaking video store, and he didn't quite like.
Yeah,
I was feeling bad for Steve. That's all I'm saying.
Oh yeah, no, me too. And I feel like Steve's an underused resource, but he's also, he's the one that stepped up and like right down the line has.
I like Robin too. I like Steve. I like Robin.
Robin is. The great thing about Robin is that she is so utterly perfectly awkward. Okay.
Yeah.
It's great. She's a great character, and that's one of the things too. It's like if you look at the core that they started out with this show, how they've expanded outwards. Like I said, Max was just great this season, and they weren't.
Max was great.
They weren't afraid to give her really, really good stuff. It didn't just have to be, it just didn't have to be about the core characters. I think, like I said, I think they're still finding ways to work with this. Did you guys figure out who the connection? Basically, we saw 3 versions of the bad guy. Did you make the connections between all of them?
I figured he was the bad guy, not early on, but I figured he turned into that guy at some point.
I missed the kid thing. I figured out, I was suspicious of the attendant guy from like minute one.
Yeah,
I always
that
felt
guy,
something
yeah.
was creepy there. I totally missed, and they played that well. I totally missed that he was the kid. That he was and God, great on them for digging up Robert Englund to bring him in as the, that was really cool.
Yeah,
that Max is 20, by the way.
What's that?
So she definitely Max is 20.
Yeah.
she plays younger.
She
yeah.
plays younger, which says a lot about her ability to.
And that guy Joe that played Eddie, like, if you see him now, like, you see
He's
what
like
he
British.
looks like. He looks. I mean, he
Oh, no, he
totally
doesn't, but
transformed into Eddie.
They totally Eddie Van Halen'd him, and but it worked. I mean, it was just, and this is one of the things with this show is like they've always worked the archetypes really well, whether it's the Russian bad guys or whether it's whatever.
Yeah.
They've leaned into that. But this season we got Molly Ringwald girl, okay, who was Robin's object of affection, but then Dustin's girlfriend's sister, okay, who was Ali Sheedy girl, okay, holy crap! If you didn't notice that, I mean, it's like she's looking right out of the Breakfast Club. She was the one that ended up going out into the van and getting high with
Right, with the pizza guy.
But they just
the thing I liked about Eddie the most was I knew 3 or 4 of that guy in high
oh
school.
my God,
who
yes.
everybody thought.
Everybody did, and that's
Those
what
are
I'm
the
saying.
people I hung out with, and everybody thought that they were bad guys, but they were like the nicest, best guys deep down.
And that's what I'm saying. It's like there's an archetype, and then you go below the surface, and then you see who the person actually is. Plus, but the whole I played Dungeons and Dragons to a small degree during that era. I remember people being like, "Oh, that's this," and these people getting together in basements and doing these weird things, and it's. I guess.
Well, and I was a guitar player in high school. I had friends. I didn't have the long hair like that. My hair wouldn't grow like that, but. I just, like I said, I knew that guy.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
I connected with him so well. And I actually read that the vest that he had with the Dio patch on the back of it, they got that from Ronnie James Dio's widow.
Wow.
Did they really?
Yeah, they actually,
Wow.
she donated that to them.
That's awesome.
I will say the two most plausible things in this show, okay, are that anyone still lives in Hawkins, okay? Because I'd have packed my shit and been gone.
When
two
the ground
seasons
started
ago.
splitting at the end, I'm like, why are they all not
I'd have
running?
left 2 seasons ago. And the other is that anyone believes these people are in 9th grade. Okay.
Are they supposed to be in 9th grade?
Yeah,
I
they're
guess
supposed
so.
to be in 9th grade.
It's interesting how they're sort of shying away from that core group. I mean, Dustin is still good. Mike, I don't know what his story is, and even the dude who was in Ghostbusters, I don't know. I mean, I feel like they didn't give them enough to do.
Yeah. I also wondered
that-
whether some of them had other commitments too, because they scattered everybody. Did you feel like the Russia stuff took too long?
A little
No,
bit.
I felt like the L stuff definitely
The
took
L
too
stuff
long.
I
didn't
felt
feel like
took,
the Russia
took-
did.
Yeah.
And Nancy's boyfriend, like, that guy looks like he's 35 now.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
He really does. And
Drugs age you, people. Don't do them.
it's
She needs to be with Steve. And she's not even so great herself.
No.
yeah. Well,
But you could tell that her and Steve are going to end up back together. So
Yeah.
no,
I didn't-
no.
I
She's-
thought this
she's
was
gonna
the
die.
last
Then
season.
No one's going to end up with her. But
You keep on wanting to kill her.
no, I'm telling you. I'm saying there's no happy endings here. There really isn't.
None of them are going to die. I don't think any of them are going to die.
I will say right now, one of the major characters will die before the series concludes.
Wait, isn't next season the last
That's
season?
what
Or
I'm
they
saying.
haven't said that.
yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I do
And,
not
and
think.
I think they've got to find a way to bring Eddie back because he's the breakout character from this season.
I
How
don't
do you
think
not have him
everybody.
next
I
season?
don't think everybody gets out alive, and I think you're going to see at least one of them. And I'm not counting Max because I do think Max is gone.
No way are they killing her, put her in the hospital where she's now alive, and then when we get back, she's going to be dead?
She's not alive. She's never going to get past where she is.
Barry?
Elle should not have done what she did to try to hold on to her. There's nothing there. That's why she's in the
Barry?
empty room.
Well,
I don't think that's true.
I can't say that wouldn't be. I mean, I think if they were going to do it, they should have done it here.
Yeah.
Not. I mean, that's like Rick Grimes, like pretending that he killed him, and not Rick Grimes, the other guy. I can't even remember his character's name anymore. The Asian guy from.
Oh right. Yes. Yep. Yes.
Yeah, it's like we're going to pretend we killed him, we didn't kill him, and then 2 episodes later we kill him for real. Like that. I feel like if they do that, it's just. I think they're going to figure out a way to bring her back.
She could be the whole key to fix this thing because she's been everywhere.
I think this is the moment when Elle figures out that she's not as powerful as she thinks she is. I think she kept her alive, but she couldn't keep her there.
But I think Elle needs to be the key to
I
this
think so
whole
too.
thing and closing the gates once and for all. But
yeah.
Anyway, okay, we'll debate
the only
this
other thing
in
I will say
6
is I
years
never
when it
liked
comes
that
back.
Kate Bush song. I still don't like that Kate Bush song.
I don't like it. I never liked it. I'm sick of hearing it.
Oh my God.
And you
And
know what
it's-
annoys me? When I want to people are over and you're like, oh, can we play someone was like, we're on Sirius. We had a bunch of people over.
I was just
like,
going to say, wait a minute. People are over? You do that still?
Yes. Maybe it was pre-COVID. Anyway, whatever. And someone's like, oh, let's find the channel on Sirius. Oh, Yacht Rock. That's nice. And I'm like, no. My go-to is Master of Puppets. So I crank that out, and everyone's like, oh. But now when you play that, oh, yeah, Stranger Things, it's really cool. Like, no. I want it to be annoying to you.
Okay.
Yeah, it is amazing how Metallica is having like a huge resurgence with this song from that show.
I happen to like the song. I am fed up with it. So I've
Wait, are we
Bush
talking
or
about
Master
the
of
Kate
Puppets?
Bush song or the
Kate
Metallica
Bush song. The Kate Bush
Oh,
song.
we're
Never
talking
liked
about
it.
Master of Puppets.
Yeah,
I love it in old school when they were grabbing the guys that are in the van. They're playing Master. That's
Yeah.
the best.
Yeah.
And it's sort of been ruined by this making it popular. Anyway,
Yeah.
Well, you might have to go like Ride the Lightning.
right?
or
I was going to say Ride the Lightning.
some other Metallica,
So
classic.
Exactly. Okay. Well, that's a lot of stuff we covered today.
We covered
for
a
you
lot of
people.
ground tonight.
we did.
A lot of stuff. It's more than a show. We'll get back to what's in the box. I know we have lots of stuff.
We got a
next
lot of
time.
stuff. Some serious stuff.
Yeah.
Well, maybe next
Yeah.
episode will be a supersized version of what's in the box.
There you go. Maybe we'll do that. I don't know if I have that much, but anyway, we'll figure all that out. And thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.